What is up, wrestling fans? Welcome to another Pay-Per-Viewpoint kind of episode edition of the Smark and Smack Talk podcast. I'm your host, as always, Tony Mango, joined as always by Callum Wiggins.
Hello.
And Rob D. Fleece.
Hey.
And of course, all of you that are listening as well. So make sure that you let us know what you think in all the different ways that you can. One of them being, if you are on YouTube, hit the like button, subscribe, ring that notification bell, get your email alerts set up for the post show immediately following Saturday night's main event on Saturday night. Yeah, after the main event. It's kind of the whole point. And leave a comment while you're doing that. Make sure that you also click on the join button and make sure that you are on the YouTube channel membership side of things for the Darkcast tier, the Pick Poison tier, whatever it might be, even $1 or $5 a month. It's greatly appreciated. It helps us keep the lights on. Same as patreon.com/smarkoutmoment. Redbubble and TeePublic is where you can get your merch. Another place for you to chat it up is our Discord channel. So go ahead and pop on over to that server and tell us what you think. And if you're obviously listening to Spotify or Anchor or whatever like that, then sound off in whatever method that you are. But those are the ones that are the things that I pay the most attention to. So every once in a while I'll get a thing that says like somebody left a review on Apple Podcasts, or like they put something on like a Spotify thing or something. But unless I get the email for it, I don't typically click on that stuff. So go to smarkoutmoment.com or send a tweet, whatever it might be like that. And tell us what you think about these 4 matches that we got going on here. I'm not at all surprised that we only have 4 matches right now, and there's a chance that we have a 5th one because there is an episode of SmackDown that it's going to be prior to this. So they could always add, some kind of United States Open Challenge, or they could do some kind of Damian Priest versus Aleister Black match, or whatever it might be. If they do add a 5th match, is there anything that stands out to you guys as being something that they probably would add onto the card?
For this card, maybe something US title related, but I don't think they need to.
This is where the lack of watching becomes an issue. If you're trying to get me to think of what matches they could potentially do for this show.
I promise you, Tony's watched the most WWE of the 3 of us.
Yeah, and it's a struggle sometimes. Yesterday with Raw, I was just like, this Raw is feeling very pointless. And then the main event ended up being pretty great. So you never know. But the Raw side of things, I think if they were going to announce any more matches, they would have announced it then. So I'm not at all surprised on that front. But the SmackDown side, I don't think that they would do a US Open Challenge because I think that they want to stick that to being like a SmackDown thing for the most part and just try to get people to tune in every week. They could very well do Priest and Black because they are continuing that feud. They could do like Mello against Miz or something. But I think that if they're going to add anything else, it'll probably be something related to the Wyatts and some kind of like either a tag team title match against the MFTs, or maybe like, an 8-man tag or whatever it might be. Because that is a feud that is going on right now. Or they could kill some time and do like MFTs versus Sami Zayn and Shinsuke Nakamura and blah, blah, blah or something. But I don't think it's necessary based off of 4 matches being on a 2-hour show. Then again, though, this is going to be the first Saturday night's main event that they've done not on NBC. So I guess we don't know yet if they are going to be 100% locked into the 2-hour time frame. They don't have to air it in the 2-hour block and end it, no matter what is happening, whether it's like Goldberg's in the middle of its promo, then they just have to shut it off. So they could go for longer, but I'm still anticipating it's probably a 2-hour show. And I guess it's probably going to have commercials through Peacock on there, and that's like one of their go-to like negotiation things or something. It's going to be interesting to see how they screw this up and how they make it annoying, because there's no way that it's not going to be annoying in some fashion. But if each match is 15 to 20 minutes longer, so it's the bulk of the 2 hours, and then you fill it in with some crap in the meantime, some commercials and filler. Seems like that would be the case. Better not be some 4-hour show, that's for sure, where each match is filled with 30 plus minutes of crap.
It's still going to be 90 minutes at most. I wouldn't worry about a 4-hour show.
I don't put it past them at this point. Look at how many of the things that we've gotten so far where it's been like, how is Backlash supposed to be some 6-hour event? You got 3 matches on it or something. But the 4 matches that we do have are all for different titles. We have a singles match for the Undisputed WWE title, triple threat for the Men's Intercontinental Championship, and a singles match for the Women's title over on SmackDown, and also a singles match for the Vacated World Heavyweight Championship, which I'm assuming is going to be the main event here because it's the most, interesting scenario. We know a champion is going to be crowned. I'm going to bury the lead a little bit here and say that I think that there's only a chance for one of the other titles to change hands, and I think that it's between Tiffany Stratton and Jade Cargill. The women's title reign that Tiffany Stratton has had has been such a waste in a lot of ways because they've given her an 11-month reign where she has fought 3 people and they just keep cycling them in and out over and over. It's Nia Jax and it's Charlotte Flair and Jade Cargill over and over and over and over again. So they went back to Jade Cargill, and I don't know why they took some time off. I don't know if she was injured or something, but they keep coming back to this. And it would be crazy to say, well, Tiffany Stratton just retains and we just have the match again and again and again and again and again. But, I mean, it's a possibility, even though I think that at this point, they're probably just going to put the belt on Jade.
First of all, you're being far too generous. She has feuded with Nia Jax for 11 months and took a stopgap with Charlotte for WrestleMania, took another one with Trish for Evolution, and they've teased a Jade match a lot, or maybe even had a couple. But
yeah, they had this is their 3rd or 4th match.
Really? Wow. I know that the one that I saw at SummerSlam wasn't tremendous. That's what I know. Now that they've turned Jade heel, I believe they've turned her heel. You're the master of that, so you'll have to tell me. But I saw a clip of her beating up Tiffany, and it didn't seem like a baby face.
She is Jade Cargill.
I'm going to guess Jade wins. Please, God, Bianca's healthy. Because I think that's been a lot of the problem here, is that, wow, Bianca has not been healthy. But I'm going to go with Jade as well.
Yeah, I think that, and this is the usual step they would take with things, is she lost her first couple of opportunities at the title. She's turned heel as a result of that, and this will now be the time where she actually wins it. They've had the title on Stratton for nearly a year at this point. It hasn't reaped anything particularly exciting or any major rewards from having a reign that long. Nobody's gotten over in that time, least of all Tiffany Stratton, because everything has been so bland and the feud's been so repetitive. There just hasn't really been any chance for her to develop her character or anything to make her evolve as beyond herself, because if anything she's regressed character wise because she's just become so generic and very wedded to just one catchphrase, like either Tiffy time and I'll put my title on the line against anybody. It's very, very one note. So yeah, I imagine they'll just give the title to Jade at this point, and she can feud with Tiffany probably for up until the end of the year in some rematches, and then move on to whatever's next for her, which would probably be Bianca if she's healthy by WrestleMania time.
So
I mean, she really better be. At this point, it's just like, come on, what is holding Bianca back? But even still,
hey man, it was a serious finger, bro. I genuinely think something must have happened to her hand. It was a serious issue where she just keeps saying, "I'll be back eventually."
I mean, it has to be something that they thought that it was going to be some quick thing, and it ended up being some major issue that they are still waiting on. But it is all right, you do have the option of having some other people here, and I'm not going to excuse them as being like, yeah, but they did this thing with Julia. It's like, no, you haven't done fuck all with Julia either, and you just were killing time, and this wasn't good. So having 2 women's champions on SmackDown that you don't know what to do with, and then you put them against each other temporarily while you kill time is not the same as starting a whole nother feud and setting up something and doing something with both. So the apologists that are like, oh, it's great that we're seeing Julia feud with her. No, we're not really. That's not a feud. That's just matches over the course of a 3-week period. And if that's all they can do with Stratton is just, if you don't face Nia Jax, then it's like, we got nothing for you. Don't give her the championship and keep the belt on her if you don't have like the creative juices to think of something, you know? And I'm not the biggest fan of like the idea of just giving it to Jade Cargill because she's not as polished in the ring, and you know, she still struggles a little bit on the mic and everything like that, but at least maybe they might be interested in doing something else there. And I'm nervous that means, though, okay, well, then we'll just have her against Nia Jax. And it's like, you've done it. Oh, my God.
Well, it's the Shawn Michaels 96 problem. When your character is a raging bitch, usually being a babyface doesn't work.
Yeah, that's true.
She needs to turn heel. Like, the whole point of... In fact, she should be the one turning heel against Jade because, yeah, Jade has been heel in AEW and does work in that way, but she's also okay as a babyface because she's such a, you know, amazing athlete, and she looks great and people pop for that. I think Tiffany should be the heel here, but I'm guessing Tiffany probably won't turn heel for quite a while.
Probably not.
But I mean, she'll turn heel when like a babyface is holding the US title, and then she'll turn heel to win the US title in between all of this stuff. So, later on, obviously, probably in the next like 6 months or so.
Let's hear it from Michin.
Well, that's the thing. It's like that'll probably be after they get through like a couple of rematches for Tiffany Stratton to try and win the belt back from Jade after Jade wins it here. Yeah, then the next person up will be Michin. Because they don't have it. The only other choice they have are Charlotte and Alexa, who are the tag champions right now. So if they drop the title, then you can switch to one of them. Or if Bianca comes back, there really isn't anyone else on SmackDown.
I think that at the very least, we got to assume that Bianca is the Mania plan. So you still have a lot of time to kill for that.
Yeah, and there's just no one else. Well, you say you have a lot of time to kill. Realistically, what will happen is that if Bianca comes back, let's say she Royal Rumble and she's fit to compete for that, so she wins the Royal Rumble, then Jade pretty much probably doesn't defend her title maybe once in between the Royal Rumble and WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Again, you'll meet Chin or you one off with Charlotte Flair or Alexa or someone like that. And yeah, I just think it's it just needs to happen here just for the sake of a change more than anything else, just so it's not the same people fighting for the same titles over again. Because what message are you sending here if you have Jade lose again? Like, she does the heel turn, and that's been
Bryan Danielson's not a good trainer.
The big turning point, and you still decide that now's not the right time unless they do something which, you know, there's always the tendency potentially to do, especially when it's not a full-blown pay-per-view, is to have some sort of fuck finish where, you know, Jade either wins or Tiffany wins, but, you know, it's a DQ, so they can stretch it out even further to the next pay-per-view. But
which at this point, when you do that at, like, you do a match at SummerSlam, you do a match elsewhere, then you do a match again, you can't have an infinite amount of, yeah, but we'll do it again. Like, you at a certain point, you have to just bite the bullet. Just either, like, that's the end of the feud, or you, like, you know, either the person wins the title or they don't. And, you know, I'm not at all interested in watching them do some kind of finish like that, because it's like, all right, well then you are still saying that out of all the people that you could potentially swap around and all the options that you could do with a draft or trades, that you just care so little about the entire roster that you'd rather repeat boring things than to give somebody else a chance. Like, I'm not, saying that they should bring Thea Hale immediately up to the main roster and make her champion, but like, come on, that girl's in fucking Evolve now, and you don't want to bring up Lash Legend. You don't want to, maybe there's a chance that JC Jane dropping the title means that that's a plan going forward, is that she's going to be moving up to the main roster pretty soon. So they could do something there if they want to keep it on Tiffany Stratton, that maybe that's another feud for her. I don't think JC versus Jade makes a whole lot of sense, but I really wish that they would just be like, let's just do a trade a little bit, but they are constantly into the mood of stalling. We even had a Maxine Dupree, speaking of women's championships, on Raw this week. She's gained the opportunity to get another championship. So her third match with Becky Lynch and her second title match. And she says, nah, I want to wait. And it's like, all right, well, you clearly want to continue to do this feud, but you don't want to do it right now. Why not? It's not like you can put 12 matches on Survivor Series. I'm over it. I want Tiffany Stratton to lose that title. I want them to have something planned for Jade other than to just continue to feud with Tiffany afterward for another 12 months. But I'm not having any faith that they'll actually do anything interesting. So they've burned the bridge to me at this point. I want the title change for the sake of the title change, and then they need to prove to me that I should care, not the other way around. Like, I don't care about a title change now, And I do think that that's the only belt that's going to change hands other than the vacated one. I don't think that they're going to stall. I think that they're actually just going to put it on Jade. And it could be partially because they want to make it seem like these Saturday night's main events are a bigger deal now that they have this Peacock thing going on. Because for a while, nothing was happening on them. And then now, if this is like the one bargaining chip that they have other than NXT, the NXT show, 3 titles changed hands. I think that could be a sign. So I'm going to go, at the end of the day, my pick is Jade.
I'm going Jade as well.
Yeah, Jade.
Now, with Cody Rhodes and Drew McIntyre, I don't think there's a chance that Drew walks out with that belt. And that's okay. Like, the champion, it's supposed to retain most of the time. But it is a little bit frustrating that, like, I don't know what this dental thing is with Jacob Fatu, but they tried to tell a different story. They tried to get him into the mix. And I don't know if they were planning on having Fatu against Cody, but the whole dental aspect threw things for a loop. And then they just sort of came back around to like, and we're still feuding with each other, and I don't know, we'll just do that again. So I don't feel like this is like some deep-seated rivalry that's like, oh man, they're going to completely destroy each other or whatever. It just sort of feels like a normal match, which is not at all the vibe that they're trying to go for. But yeah, I like Cody, I like Drew. I'm sure they'll put on a good enough performance, but this is certainly one of those matches where I kind of feel like if you don't see it, you're probably not going to have missed anything.
I would love to see the titles change hands here. Let me be clear. I would love to see all these titles change hands just because do something. Make it fun. Make it seem like, oh, wow, anything can happen. Drew, it's not like Drew's a bad choice for a champion. And it's not like the idea of a guy being champion for 2 months throws off your WrestleMania plans. Because I'll say it again, and I know he doesn't book like he is booking for his own career, but like Triple H comes from an era where the belt changed hands constantly. You weren't like obligated to see one guy be champion, and that was it. You could have, here's a great example, you could have Edge win the title for like 3 weeks, and still do Cena versus Triple H at WrestleMania. Like, everybody still got to where they needed to go. And, sure, did it devalue the title? That's a very strong arguable point. But at the same time, I'm so tired of well, the belt can't change hands because it's not the show where it would. And that's just that. It's boring. That's a boring philosophy. Just why can't Drew win here and then potentially lose it back in December or something? Anything should be able to happen, but that's my rant, and it's probably not going to happen, and Cody wins.
It would at least make McIntyre a really viable element for War Games if he were to steal the title. Because you got to assume he's probably going to be teaming with Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed.
So I'd say I would be fine with a title change happening here because I like Drew and Cody, even though he only recently won the title back, still kind of feels quite long in the tooth. Even though it's weird because he was away for a while during the Cena reign, came back and won the title back, and it already feels pretty. It feels like he's held it for a long time, even though he's kind of done very little with it. I don't want to subscribe to the idea or tie in the idea that they should be just changing titles left and right, because that's equally as lazy as what they're doing right now, which is holding the title on people for too long and not taking risks and chances. It's probably more interesting and more fun, but it's okay, you're just changing titles for the sake of changing titles and trying to get a bit of intrigue going rather than actually tell compelling stories or build compelling characters. It's just another. Essentially, if every title changed hands here, it'd be, oh, what a crazy night! All titles changed hands, and how insane is that? And it's okay, well, you can't do that every show, because if you do it every show, then it's well, what's the point of even having champions at this point? So
I agree with that, but my point is the philosophy that it can't happen outside of a few shows just needs to change.
Oh no, absolutely needs to change. There needs to be some variety. With the amount of championships they do have and the amount of champions they have, they should be able to do it more regularly than what they currently do. I just think that there are people that always go with the side of extremes, and I think with this one, there is a chance to just change the title for a few months because Drew is well established. Cody typically is better he's had his year-long reign with the championship, and he defended the title at WrestleMania, won it at WrestleMania, defended it at WrestleMania last year. Does he really need to be champion going into WrestleMania this year, or should he be the chaser going for the title instead? There's multiple ways to look at it. My belief is, if it's just a prediction, is that Cody's not going to drop the title here, but they'll do something in order to continue it into War Games, and then from that they'll continue it into Royal Rumble. That I assume that Cody versus Drew is going to be the Royal Rumble world title match.
So this gets into kind of the other two matches as well, one of those things where it's a whole House of Cards positioning. And let's just toss them out there. The triple threat match for the men's Intercontinental title is Dominic Mysterio defending against both Penta and Rusev, because he's fought both recently. Both keep interfering with the other one. They had a whole number one contenders match. Los Americanos came out, interrupted, and the typical fashion of nobody in WWE ever follows their own rules, and they're all complete idiots, because it's if I interrupt the match, there can't be a winner. Oh no, the babyface GM decided I'm going to defend against both of them. What? This hasn't happened 406 times before. But there's rumors that Dom could fight John Cena and drop the Intercontinental title to him, and then that Cena would drop the Intercontinental title to whoever he fights on December 13th. I mention that now out of the Cody Rhodes and Drew thing, because the other match is the CM Punk and Jey Uso vacated world title match, which clearly was not supposed to happen because Seth Rollins was supposed to hold that title all the way until Mania. We assume he probably was going to have a match with Roman Reigns at WrestleMania, which means now you got to do something else for Roman. You got to do something else for all the other people, like reshuffle the deck in a kind of way. Punk and Uso weren't going to be champion right now. Somebody is going to win that title. Somebody is going to beat that person for the title, either at Mania or beforehand. And if it's beforehand, then that person needs to fight somebody else. And there's the Brock Lesnar element of this whole thing. We know that the teaser at this point had Punk, Roman, Cody, and Brock with Paul Heyman. So here's where I kind of just like lump it all together. Cody could lose to Drew here. I don't think he will. But who fights Cody at WrestleMania? I think it's CM Punk. And I think we're looking at a situation where, let's say John Cena beats Dominic Mysterio. Let's say he wins the Intercontinental title and drops it to, I'm assuming, Gunther on the December 13th Saturday night's main event. I had been going into this thinking Gunther would beat Cena, and then Gunther would win the Royal Rumble and challenge Cody Rhodes, because it would be like, all right, Cody and Gunther had their crown jewel match and Cody won. Gunther comes back. He beats Cena, who had beaten Cody. And then it's almost sort of like the 3-point stance of like, it's Cody, Cena, Gunther. Gunther beats Cena, Gunther beats Cody. That kind of, balance out that triangle a little bit. But now I don't think so. Now I'm thinking it's Brock versus Gunther. And it could very well be for the Intercontinental title, which I don't think was necessarily a plan. And that Roman is kind of up in the air. And the Braun Breaker thing is kind of up in the air. And I'm really at a loss for does that mean that they go and they put the title on Jey Uso again? Or be back to the thing we talked about before, if it's Jey versus Jimmy versus Roman? And Braun Breaker is not in this at all. And he's in some kind of shitty Breaker and Reed against whoever, some kind of dumb thing like that. Is it belt going to go back to Braun? Is going to go to Braun Breaker and he's going to beat Jey or Punk, and then that's going to switch around or something? I'm assuming Dominic Mysterio retains the Intercontinental title, regardless of what all the other things, the Jenga Tower is. But that in and of itself, the whole whether he fights John Cena, has me questioning a couple other things too. So my long-winded way of getting around this, I think Dom beats Penta and Rusev. What do you guys think for the Intercontinental title match?
I think there's always a chance they could decide to strap up Penta, but I ultimately think Dom gets the win. And I've heard the Cena theory enough times now where I'm just beginning to think that must be the plan. And Cena can maybe he doesn't win. He doesn't need to win the IC title, but he could. And in any case, Dom probably deserves the spot just for the fun work he's done this year. And Cena's retirement tour has been crappy, so it's not like, oh, you're ruining the retirement tour, so Cena versus Dom could be a fun match. So I'm going to guess Dom wins. He gets that fun thing with Cena. I'm not as perplexed by the 4 men in the WrestleMania ad as you are, except for maybe what does Cody Rhodes do? Because Brock, I think, is either fighting Gunther or, depending on the trajectory, he fights Breaker.
Right. I would assume that those are the most 2 likely options, but you never know if they're going to go Brock versus Roman again.
I think even Paul Heyman would refuse. I think Punk could be in this world title picture. I could see a different scenario, though, which I'll get to in a minute. Because I think no matter what, I think Roman Reigns is fighting either Cody Rhodes or the winner of the World Heavyweight Championship. And I think I've had a little bit of time to mull this over. I think there's a strong chance Jey Uso just turns heel here. Just full-blown turns heel and aligns himself with the Vision. If you just give me 2 seconds to explain. They had Rollins completely set up to the point where they made the stupid decision to say he will be the main event of WrestleMania 42. Now look who's not even in the ads. You shouldn't do that. That's first of all. But if the whole idea of the Seth Rollins story was I don't need the bloodline, I'll make my own bloodline. If that was the whole deal, who fits into that role perfectly but Jey Uso? Jey Uso's already getting a bit of a swelled head because he's like, I'm in the main event now. This is my show now. And he's got the built-in connection with snake oil salesman Paul Heyman where he can just go, I was the wise man who was pulling the strings of the bloodline, and I'm the oracle who had the vision, and the vision that I saw even 5 years ago was main event Jey Uso. Bing, bang, boom, you've got your story. Jey gets to prove that he's more than an entrance because he can stop eating with the kids. And you get Jey versus Roman. Maybe you throw Jimmy in there. I don't know. But I think that's an easy way to basically go, hey, we lost this puzzle piece, but this other one can slide in there if need be. I think that's a possible way to go. The other alternative is Punk actually wins and has a short reign where he drops it to Breaker, who could eventually fight Roman. And the third option, which I would absolutely hate for this match and would legitimately be upset, is there is no winner because Braun Breaker takes them both out and they drag this out to the fucking Royal Rumble or some dumb shit. That I'm already barely watching. That would make me legitimately be like, all right, fully tapped out until Royal Rumble season. Like, I don't know.
You can never rule out something as ridiculous like that because they've done shit like that before.
You can't rule out stupid. That's always on the table. You can't rule out drawn out stupidity, and that is on the table. I think my Jey Uso heel turn idea sounds the most exciting. It's the easiest way to keep some puzzle pieces intact. And I'm going to go with that as my ultimate prediction. But I swear to God, if Braun Breaker just causes a no contest, I'm done.
So, in terms of the Intercontinental thing, it's just going to be Dominic Mysterio retains, because why would they change it? Like, they've just had Dominic beat Rusev and Penta pretty much in consecutive weeks, and they're not just going to drop it in a triple threat match, especially if this Cena thing is happening. So yeah, Dominic retains the title. Doesn't really matter too much about that. I think people are reading way too much into this trailer. It's literally just the 4 most popular male superstars they have in the trailer for their biggest show of the year. Like, why do we have to assume that they're doing anything with each other or involved in any sort of way? It's like, these are your 4 biggest male stars. Of course, you're going to use them in the trailer to promote your biggest show of the year. So,
I think if anybody's looking at this and going like, Cody's sitting opposite the table from Punk, which means that's a guarantee, like that, I don't think they did it like that. But it does show you how they prioritize. Okay, these 4 are going to get 4 big matches, as opposed to it being like, you know, like when they have like, you know, if like, it's weird that Braun Breaker is not involved, and it's weird that there is nothing for the women's division. So it's almost like they're hinging on these 4 as being like, these are the selling points, and everybody else is like, we don't fucking care.
Well, they're not hinging on those 4. They're hinging on Paul Heyman. Every fucking thing this year has just been about, hey, isn't Paul Heyman involved in fucking everything? And he's still there. And these are like his 4 little puppets, except Seth Rollins isn't there, and it's Cody. Like, I think it's just an ad being like, isn't it fun if we have these men here and Paul Heyman?
Well, just to avoid that. Yeah, of course, it's these four guys that are like. Yeah, I'm surprised. What surprised that? No, I'm not surprised it's not Bron Breakker because Bron Breakker's not a big star. I'm not surprised that fucking Humberto Carrillo's not in this trailer as well. It's like, I mean, to act like I'm like, oh, quelle surprise that they haven't put any young, exciting new talent into this one. No, it's the four old guys that are always being pushed. Like that is that is what you expect. Like if Rollins was there, Rollins would probably be in it if he was healthy enough, then he'd probably be in it as well. But it's like it's the same guys that have been pushed for about 3-4 years at this point, other than obviously Punk's only just come back. But yeah, that's what you do. You just cycle the same people over and over again. Cena would be in it if Cena wasn't retiring. You just cycle them over and over again. So, and they'll do another promo, which is based around the women at some point as well. This is just the first trailer thing. Like, I don't even know why they have to do it in the first place. Like, oh my god, did you know that WrestleMania's happening in April next year? It's like, well, wow, I couldn't imagine it.
It's hashtag cinema, bro. Like that's all it is. They just want to do the whole cinema thing.
Yeah.
But actually, go on.
Oh well, I want to get down to the main thing, which I don't think has really been discussed out of this main event match, presumably between Jey Uso and CM Punk, is that it fucking sucks.
Oh yeah,
it fucking sucks. Like Jey Uso sucks. He's not a good wrestler. He hasn't been a good wrestler. He's a great tag team wrestler. He's not a great singles wrestler. And he's shown, I think, such massive signs of regression over the last 2 years, ever since he has been pushed. He can't hit moves properly. He has like, he has like 4 or 5 moves that he hits. He hits a spear that is the worst spear in the entire wrestling industry right now. Well, at least among those ones. There are people that hit a spear consistently, I should say. I'm sure there's someone who just decides, oh, I'm just going to throw a spear in a match when I've never done it before and fucks it up. But someone who uses it as part of their repertoire, it's terrible. Just a bunch of others, like super kicks and shouting yeet all the time. But is it interesting if he turns heel? I guess it's slightly more interesting if he stays babyface, but like, it's still not. You still have the big glaring issue as, oh, it's Jey Uso. It's now just a heel Jey Uso rather than a babyface Jey Uso. And so I mean, if it was up to me, I would say you have to make CM Punk champion. Just CM Punk is a bigger star, he's a bigger name, and he is like someone that you can just build a feud with anybody because Punk can build a feud with anybody. So he's a much more effective linchpin to put the title on right now when you're kind of scrambling around with plans and your original ideas have been thrown out the window, so you have to think of something else on the fly. So who are better to put the title on than a guy that can literally, through a series of promos, get into a blood feud with anybody in the roster? So yeah, of course you put the title on CM Punk. I think that's the route they're going to take. Not necessarily, because as I said earlier, I thought once Rollins got injured and Jey Uso won that number one contenders match, I think that they're going Jey Uso Roman at WrestleMania. I'd go on further. I think they're going Jey Uso, Roman, and Jimmy in a triple threat match at WrestleMania. So I think that in that case, it makes sense that Jey would win the title here because you can just throw Punk on with anyone else. He'll get Logan Paul at WrestleMania or something. I don't know, but because it's one of these things where they like to dangle the gold in front of Punk, and he's had his main event match now, so he can go back to the upper mid card and just feud with whoever they want to over a friendship bracelet. And yeah, so if it was up to me, Punk would be champion like right away. Just go with that, and it gives you more freedom and more opportunity to work your way out of the hole that you currently find yourself in. But I think that they might just decide to get blinkers on and say, it has to be bloodline. Just make Jey Uso champion. So my official prediction would be that Jey Uso wins the title here.
Now, do you think he beats Punk straight up, or do you think there's shenanigans?
Yeah, you might low blow him. When I don't think there's going to be like interference or anything too crazy. You might just cheat to win, and then then the crowd turn on him afterwards. But yeah, I'm not really thinking that far ahead because I don't really care. So
that's
I'm not going to watch it. So
I really wish that they would have just given the belt to LA Knight. And like,
no,
that's not like a perfect, okay, well then that fixes all the problems type of thing. But like, if your options are Punk holds it because you got nothing else going on and then you just drop it to Braun Breaker, or that you do this Jey Uso thing, like, I do not care about Jey versus Jimmy right now. And I especially don't care after the WrestleMania match. And if it's a triple threat with those two and Roman, I'd rather it be not for the belt. So it's like, I don't want the belt associated. At least I'd rather them give it to LA Knight and do something where it's like, well, they gave him a title and he can check that off his list, than to give Jey Uso a second world title reign, for instance.
I'm so sick of world championships being used as gold watches. It does make stars into actual people. I'm fine with people that I like winning titles because it's just people I'm fans of. But just stop using a world championship as a gold watch. It should be used to be the person who's most over, or the person you think will be most over. Don't just hand it to LA Knight because he's never held it before. That's dumber than the two reasons that you said for the other two things. You only want it to be something else because it's different.
Oh, that's what I'm saying.
Which is fine.
Yeah, I want it to be something different. That's the whole point. Is the biggest star of the whole bunch is CM Punk, but I just don't see that being anything that would be like. I don't think putting the belt on Punk right now boosts the ratings or makes anything more intriguing than if you were to give it to LA Knight. I think if at the very least, if you gave it to LA Knight, there might be some people that would go, "Oh shit." And then maybe they would tune in for 3 weeks until they realized that you aren't going to do fuck all with him anyway. There's no way it would work out. But I think the best case scenario would have been to just put it on Braun Breaker and just go with it.
Yeah, okay, yes. I think we can all agree on that, right?
Right. That would have just been the scenario, is to just I don't fucking care if this was your plan or not. You clearly have been setting up. And it's really weird with Bronson Reed in particular, because it's they just talk about Braun Breaker being the future, and then it's and he's pretty great too, this other guy, and he's yeah.
Yeah, which is one of the things is Braun Breaker was the optimal choice, but you just had Bronson Reed beat Roman Reigns on pay-per-view. So why not use him as this opportunity as well? There's a real. I understand with the LA Knight thing, he is somewhat popular. He has been popular over the past couple of years, but I just think, again, you're just putting the title on a 40-year-old guy that's not really going to change anything. Whereas you put the title on a Braun Breaker, and even Bronson Reed to an extent, because you've given him a bit more credibility by having him beat Roman, and there's a ready-made feud there over the title if they want to go down that route. But instead they're just reverting to type. They've gone safe with this one, which is one of the former world champions and a guy who's well established in the main event already in terms of CM Punk, in terms of his legacy and history. But they haven't tried anything different or exciting or gone in a completely different direction. So I think that that kind of sums up a lot of Triple H's booking, which is, it's in many ways sensible, but it's very, very dull and not it doesn't get your blood pumping or very interested in what's about to happen. And I think it's an issue that's infecting a lot of professional wrestling, is that there is kind of a natural inclination to play it safe with the stars that you've already made, and a hesitation to make new stars, which is, that is always, unless you're quote unquote too big to fail, it's always the death of a promotion when you stick too heavily on the the devil, rather than take a chance on someone and push someone who's young, maybe even not at the right time. This is why I applaud things when AEW put the title on Swerve Strickland. He wasn't at that moment ready to be on the title, but he grew into the title and he feels like a main event guy. It's giving the title to someone like Obafemi, who isn't as polished, but he just has an aura about him that you can build up, and then he gets better over time and he feels stronger. He gets better on promos. He gets better in the ring. You putting the title on Brock Lesnar when he's 25. Put the title on Randy Orton when arguably way too early for Randy Orton. But they took
go down the line.
They took chances on young guys back then, and now they're just and again, we always keep bringing back, relegating the issue. Like, there's just a bunch of 40-something-year-old guys in the main event scene in WWE, and it's just you need to use these opportunities. Use these opportunities when things go off the rails to, like, give into
shake
chaos.
Things up a little bit.
Yeah, shake things up, give into chaos, let things. If Bron Breakker wins a title and it just completely falls flat and he just can't live up to that level, then you just go back to you took a chance, it didn't pay off, and then you can go back to one of your safer options in the meantime. But it might catch fire because Bron Breakker is, he's a very dynamic wrestler, and he's got excellent moveset. He's got a built-in legacy. He's already won the Intercontinental title. He's established. He's,
NXT champion. So he's already been the head of a whole roster at one point.
Yeah. He could have fun with the title, and you could do something different. And it introduces him to a lot of people who he might not wrestle before, or in situations where he has to have longer matches, or you might even have to change your whole main event style to suit Bron Breakker a little more, maybe shorter matches, but have like more immediate action in it. And you're like, matches only go like 10-15 minutes, but they're just like absolute action from minute one type. I don't know. But it's just a case of, with this match, you're either putting the title on a guy who is no doubt popular, and the kids love to say the eat word, but it's a case of, like, he's not very good in the ring, and it's pretty boring, and I don't think, like, a lot of people are pretty inspired by it. Or you put the title on a guy who is no doubt great at what he does, but, it's still a... I don't necessarily say part-timer, he's doing a lot of stuff, but it feels like a past generation. It's like in years past putting the title on a Hulk Hogan in the last stages of his career, rather than hedging your bet on a young guy and using a guy like CM Punk to make that young guy instead. So I don't know. I'd say if it was up to me, Punk would be the right choice here out of the two options they're presented with, but I think they'll just go Jey Uso, because I just believe that they're so hyper focused on anything to do with the bloodline, past or present, and as Rob said, you can build it around like a Paul Heyman involvement, helping Jey Uso get the victory because of the ties in there, and a means of getting to Roman Reigns a little bit more because he's corrupted like his cousin, and then you can do wait another year or so and then do another reunion storyline, exactly. Milk that even more. So that's the only success they've ever gotten under the Triple H regime, or the only consistent success they've had under the Triple H regime is through the Bloodline storyline. So if he has an opportunity to extend it out a little bit further and maybe try and add a little bit more to it, or more depth and complexity to it in his own mind, then I don't think he'll pass up that opportunity.
And I want to go real quick and talk about why I understand what Tony is trying to say, but why I think the LA Knight move that people are legitimately calling for on the, or at least on, the social media, it's not a good move. LA Knight might very well be a case of taking the best of Punk and the best of Jey Uso, and also their biggest flaws, and just merging it into one guy, which might be why Tony likes it. Jey Uso is charismatic. LA Knight definitely charismatic. People love saying, he's definitely a charismatic guy. But he's also, I'm sorry, I don't even hate the fact that the roster is filled with a bunch of 40-year-olds. I hate that the roster is filled with a bunch of 40-year-olds that they keep trying to present as young, hot stars. LA Knight just is not that. He's just not that. I saw Bully Ray and Eric Bischoff talking about how, Jericho versus LA Knight. Ooh, you got 12 months of a... What the fuck are we watching?
12 months out.
Well, you just mentioned the name there that I was thinking of in the back of my mind. It's because you mentioned there's a lot of stuff around all these guys that are in the promo package, and is Dominic Mysterio and John Cena and Gunther going to be involved with the Intercontinental title. There's a big Jericho-shaped hole that needs to be filled as well for WrestleMania, because he is coming in, and he will have a featured match at WrestleMania.
It might very well be against LA Knight.
Because once you're tired of all the same 40-year-old guys at the top of the main event, you just, the remedy to that is to add a 50-year-old guy into that situation. But yeah, he's going to have a featured match, and it could be against Rhodes, against Jericho, against someone of their ilk, because they'll try and treat Jericho's quote unquote final run like a big deal.
I mean, if he comes, which of course, like, we're not going to know until it happens. There's always a chance that it does. There's always a chance that it doesn't. But there's a lot of people he could work with. At least on paper, I don't think he could work well with almost anybody at this point, let's be honest. Because Jericho's it's not 2007, And that's not his fault in the sense of 20 fucking years went by, so of course he's not going to be the same. But at the same time, I don't think that he gets the pass of, but if he does a punch, everybody should oversell it like crazy anything. But you could have Jericho in a featured match against Logan Paul, AJ Styles, CM Punk, LA Knight. You could have him in a featured match against Austin Theory. And if people go like, oh my God, Jericho's back, they're going to be like, okay, well then mission accomplished. So I don't think that that's like a world title thing. But yeah, it could be Jericho against Dom for the IC title or something, for all we know. Or he could still just be an AEW. And maybe all this was just like negotiation tactic stuff, but I don't know. But I'm looking at, like, we know Brock's going to do something at Mania, despite how he shouldn't, for many different other reasons. And it's like, all right, Brock has to theoretically go against Braun Breaker, Gunther, or maybe Bronson Reed. And then, Cody is going to be champion or chasing the championship. The only people that really make any sense for him to go up against are Gunther and, the CM Punk match that they didn't do. And maybe it's Braun Breaker versus Cody. Maybe this whole World Heavyweight Championship thing for some reason ends up not being where they go. And maybe it's maybe Braun Breaker wins the Royal Rumble and he fights Cody and beats Cody at WrestleMania. And then in the meantime, they do the horrible option of Jey Uso's champion. So, thinking him against Jimmy or something. But they have an opportunity here to do something that can shake things up. And they also have what I think is much more likely of an option to completely neuter any interest that anybody would have, and to just make this the most boilerplate, boring crap that they could. And we could be in a WrestleMania 32 type situation where it's a couple months into it, even if there's not the injuries that are happening in February to change things up, they still might just throw in the cards and just be like, all right, we're writing off WrestleMania this year. It only matters that we build up to the Saudi crap. We already got the money from the Vegas. And let's just look at the spreadsheet. This person against that person, this person against that person. Jade versus Bianca. If not, Jade versus Charlotte. Blah, 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 blah. Even on the women's world championship front, I don't know what the hell they're planning on doing with that. Is it Stephanie against Rhea? Is it something else? Where's Obafemi? Where's Trick? Do something. They're not going to be the women's title match. I mean, they shouldn't. But at the same time, if they want to debut Obafemi, he just wins every fucking championship, and including destroying the women's division. It's not going to be what I would book, but I'd be like, I'm at least intrigued. What the hell's happening here? What a night.
So it's settled. Obafemi versus Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania 42, and that's your main event. They do
Femi versus Mommy.
That's dumb. They do have an option to do something fun here. I think, like Callum says, realistically, with what we're given, the best option is just you give Punk a little run with the title, and that can end however you need it to. That can end with a Roman match. That can end with Breaker. That can end with potentially, another McIntyre match, a Cody match. That's the most versatile option. But that's for all those reasons. I think they're going with Jey Uso because it's the most lame option, and that's where I'm inclined to think that they go.
It's all going to be CM Punk versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. Man, if they pull that off.
Oh, let's save that for Saudi.
Don't laugh. You know that's on the table for one of these next 2 years.
Yeah.
So,
I'm sure that's getting pitched. I am
like, what do you fucking pay me $12 million? I don't need to do this.
Right now, 5:00 on Tuesday. I don't know if SmackDown's going to change my mind in any way, but at the moment, I'm thinking Jey Uso wins. If not just because it's the option I don't want, and there's more of a chance I'm disappointed when I watch WWE than I'm happy. Let's be honest. Just the way that almost anything is. There's always more of a chance I'm going to be disappointed than I'm going to be pleasantly surprised. So, if it's Punk, I'll be a little bit happier. And then, of course, if they follow it up with something that's lame, then I'll be like, that still sucked anyway. But I really, it's a shame that this isn't just like two completely other different people. Like, this isn't the time that they called up people, and not that it's only like everything rests on Obafemi, but like, man, I would be so much more pumped if this was Obafemi versus one of the other people, or if it was like they did a little mini tournament to settle the number one contenders thing, and it ended up being like, a guy from SmackDown, like I don't know, Aleister Black and AJ Styles. Let's just pick two people. And just be like, I didn't see that coming. Okay, shit. What are we going to go? But for it to just be the three baby faces that have been feuding with the two heels, and it's just a cycle through, and then every once in a while Roman comes in and then gets beaten up after 3 weeks and then takes another 3 months off. I have been past that cycle since pre-SummerSlam. So milking an entire year out of something, they got to stop doing that. And I hope that this injury is like a learning tool from them. And then they just start, getting away from the whole, like, we want to try to build something up for a year. We don't have a year's worth of story to tell, but we're going to take a year to tell the story. Longevity is not the same as, depth. Quality and quantity are not just equals. So I'm going to say Jay, and if the things, change in some fashion, you'll see some kind of update on, like, probably the most up-to-date thing that you'll see is Saturday morning, the question of the day on EWN. It'll be like my definitive, like, last pick. But this doesn't count the same towards the fantasy league as traditional picks. So you can change our mind all the time when it comes to this, and that's not going to be an influence there. Any other things going on with Saturday night's main event you guys want to talk about before we wrap things up?
No, I do hope it's a good show. I've been watching bits and pieces of shows lately, and I haven't been able to, like, if I'm honest, get through a full one. I did watch the Raw main event back after it ended because I heard it was so good, and it was. I really hope it's a good show. Like, that's it. I just want, at the bare minimum, good, entertaining wrestling or good, entertaining television, preferably both together.
As I say, obviously I'm not going to watch it because why would I? But I think that even on paper, in terms of just match quality, I think that none of the matches look, outside of Cody and Drew can be fitting, but the others, this probably looks like, just from an in-ring perspective, one of the weakest Saturday night's main events they've done so far. So I wouldn't even be excited even if I was like watching WWE regularly, I don't think I'd even be excited for the match quality of this shows either. So yeah, I guess it's a preemptive thumbs down.
I don't blame you for that. I'll be doing coverage as per usual. So everybody that's interested in that, go to smarkmma.com. or obviously the Ring Report or EWN. As far as my preferences, go to smark.com. And of course, we'll have a post show immediately following Saturday night's main event on the usual YouTube setup that we've got going on here. So stay tuned, get your email alert set up for that. Keep in mind that you can also follow everything that you can find at amangotree.com or anthonymango.com. And the link tree list that is up on there has all the Smark Out Moment links and the Fanboys Anonymous ones, and then my Tony Mango kind of related ones. And follow Robin Callum too.
Yeah, you can follow me everywhere at Dude Felice, and I'll be here under a mango tree.
You can find me on Twitter and Blue Sky at Weekmeister14. Check out the Power Rankings every single Saturday over on smarkoutmoment.com, where I rank the WWE superstars based on their previous week's performances. And while you're over there, head on over to the Fantasy League, also at WWEFantasyLeague.com, where you can see how our teams are doing, who's picking up points in the standings as we move towards Saturday night's main event, which will obviously be a big one in terms of point scoring. So follow all that along there.
Alrighty, everybody, you know the deal. Hit that like button if you didn't already. Double check that you are subscribed. Leave that comment below that you were thinking about throughout the video, and then stay tuned. Next time around, you're going to be hearing from us is going to be the hot tags on Friday. And then after that, Saturday night's main event post show. Going to try to brainstorm some things about the Darkcast for November, and I'm hoping to do something, whether it's Darkcast or main event, for the 2 weeks that we have like a blank week. I'm hoping to do something DC Comics related, just because they do have an opportunity to do something like that with the AEW thing. So I don't have really a set idea of like, you know, do you have any more interest in me doing something like a follow-up from what I did before with the like fantasy booking a War Games thing or whatever, and just keeping it DC and not doing the DC and Marvel thing? Maybe like heroes versus villains, if you're more into the Fanboys Anonymous side of things. Or if you want us to maybe do something that's like a wrestling and DC crossover, we could try to think of something like that. We could do a watch along of some kind of a DC related project with a wrestler, because there's actually quite a bit. You know, I did not like Black Adam, but I would watch it again if it would make you laugh. And I think that there's different ideas we could do with that. And then if you are not into the DC Comics side of things and you're just like, hey, stick to pro wrestling entirely on this channel, then toss out some ideas about what you'd like to see for that too. If you want something Survivor Series related, War Games related, you want us to watch an old War Games match. I think I've seen one of the WCW War Games matches, and that's it. So I'm down to watch another one if you want a fan tracks or fan outs table, I mean. Or we could do a Mount Rushmore thing of some kind. If you really want us to go back to doing a Superstar Scores, we could do that for somebody. Whatever it might be, drop your comments below and tell us what you think. And the whole game plan for this next month, and well, basically for the whole rest of the year, is primarily pay-per-view stuff. So, you know, take the opportunity when you can when it comes to the Darkcast and the main events that are free. So anyway, if you want to sponsor something in particular, pick Pours and Tears how you do it. In the meantime, leave those comments, and we will all come back around to the hot tags next time around. So adios for now. Thanks for listening. We will see you then. This has been another episode of the Smark Out Moment Pay-Per-Viewpoint, which means that it's also been another Smark Out Moment, and I'm being counted out.